spread awareness on mental health by sharing the real-life stories of those who've experienced it firsthand.
Finally admitted me to Unit 9, and that's when I got diagnosed with bipolar.
Wow. That's crazy. It must have been crazy to be up for 8 days and just going through that.
Yeah, and especially I guess it was just the sleep too, no sleep too, but I was hallucinating the whole time and
Right.
talking to people, and my biggest thing was that I thought I was a genius, and
Could be.
Yeah, that's one of the key symptoms of a manic episode is it's called illusions of grandeur, and you think you're a higher power. A lot of people think they're God if they're really religious or something like that, but I thought I was a genius, so all the doctors were okay, you're having a manic episode, and I was no, you guys don't understand this, because I'm just so much smarter than you, that you don't get this.
Yeah,
and they were okay,
yeah.
and I was these doctors,
yeah.
But and I was, even after I slept, I don't know what they gave me to drug me out enough to make me go to sleep my first night in Unit 9, but even after that I was still manic for 4 days, and I was out in the unit talking to people, being I'm a genius, I can solve this for you, all this stuff,
Yeah.
And all the people in Unit 9 were eating it up, because they were just
really? Can you?
Yeah. I was I'm so smart, I can solve all your problems. And then finally the nurses kind of realized that I was spreading bullshit, and I was on solitary confinement for a few weeks until I came back down.
That's crazy. I couldn't imagine going through all that. And it was was this the first incident for you where you kind of realized that, was there any signs before this? I'll say that.
Not really, no. All through high school I was fine, never really dealt with any kind of depression or anything. It was my anxiety was the only thing that was pretty high before that, and social anxiety and stuff like that, but it got a lot worse right before it happened, and then I went manic and didn't sleep.
That's crazy. So what was it like? What is it like? I don't know if you've been there since, but what is it like in Unit 9?
Yeah, I've been there twice in my life, and the first time I was there for 7 weeks, and the second time I was there for 3 weeks. But
The first time you were there for 7 weeks?
yeah, so that was when I was diagnosed, and I don't know, I find it's really helpful because the routine's so strict. You get up at 7 a.m, you eat your breakfast, you go for a walk, you come back, you have a group therapy, then you have lunch, then you do another group, then you do occupational therapy, so you paint and stuff, and then you go for another walk, and then you have supper, and then it's free time after supper. But because the routine's so strict, it really gets you back on a path to get out of the hospital. And the people in there are amazing. There's always a couple nurses that you don't really get along with, but for the most part they're the kindest, most empathetic people that I've ever met. And the people, the patients as well. I've made some of my best friends that I met in there, because you're just both in a shitty situation, and you can just relate to each other, and yeah.
I imagine the camaraderie. How do you say that word? Camaraderie, yeah. Wow. Just in any situation where you're going through something terrible with someone else, you come out of it with a really strong bond.
Yeah.
So I imagine.
Yeah, and even there's always a few people that are kind of odd, but everyone's weird in there, you know what I mean? Everyone's, my dad calls it purple, little off.
Yeah.
And everyone's purple in there, so there's no judgment. You can freak out and cry and go to your room, and no one's gonna say anything, because they're just feeling bad for you. They're just this is a shitty time, we're all going through it.
Yeah.
So there's no I felt I could be myself in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine that'd be pretty important at that time. for anyone going through that. Was it scary going there at first?
Yeah, like I was really scared to go in there. But it comes to a point where you're like, I'm not going to be able to live on the outside because, like, you just don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, there's no other option at this point. Like,
Yeah.
Like, when I went in, I was like, I can't work, I can't go to school, like, I can't do anything, so I have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So I can, like, fix this. And going in there, I don't know, it's scary when you first get in there because they take all your belongings.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you go in, they take all your clothes off you, like, and they put you in, like, a Unit 9 gown, and you're not allowed to have any of your belongings until, like, the doctor moves you up a level because you're on, like, the lowest level. So you're not allowed to have anything, and it sucks because everyone else in there has all their stuff because they've been in there for longer, so you're just, like, in a gown, like, by yourself. And, like, I didn't leave my room, like, the first couple days, but there's also shared rooms, and, like, the second time I was in there, I had a roommate, and, like, I became, like, really good friends with her, which was nice because I didn't have to leave my room to, like, socialize. Like, there was always someone there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that would that would be good. Yeah, we talked before we started this, but one of my friends, I won't say his name, recently went is in there now, and I just everything you said, he's just and everybody, and that's why I even bring it up, is just I think people are scared to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't know what it's like
Yeah.
when they get there, and if they've never been there before, never no history of mental illness, it's like they're scared of judgment. They're scared of just super scared to go there and face it, I guess.
Yeah, and I know a few people in there that I was friends with were nursing students at the time.
Mm.
So they didn't want to, like, go on the walks or leave the unit because they didn't want to be seen by, like, anyone in the hospital because they didn't want people to know they were in there.
Yeah.
Which I understand, being in that field, but it's also, like, you're doing what you need to do at that time, and you should be proud of it, not ashamed.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a big reason why I wanted to do this podcast, obviously, she was one of your friends, your good friends, and she was my girlfriend. For anyone who is listening and doesn't know, she killed herself, Carrie Lynn. And I was wondering what that was like for you, having dealt with mental illness yourself before. Was it kind of a big trigger, or was it like, how was it for you?
Well, I was actually in the hospital when it happened. So I was, like, out on a pass when I got the call from Monica, and I, like, don't really remember what happened after I got that call. Like, I just remember waking up in the hospital again, and I know I was supposed to be, like, discharged that week, and I ended up staying another 3 weeks, so it was, like, a huge trigger for me, but I almost felt, like, guilty because, like, I was getting help at that time and she wasn't, but like, she needed it, and I almost felt guilty for being in there because, like, I wasn't there for her when she needed me.
Yeah, I think just everybody says the same thing when someone takes their own life, that they would just wish they could have done more or been there, but yeah, you just can't, who knows, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody knew, and I guess you could think about it all day, right? Like, what could have been done, I guess.
Yeah.
So you got out of the hospital the first time in 7 weeks, right? So what was the road like after you leave?
The thing with bipolar is, like, once you go high, like you use up all your endorphins, everything, like, so you drop like just as low. And because I was so manic for so long, like I had like the worst depression of my life.
Yeah.
After I was out.
Yeah.
And I wasn't working or anything, so it was like, and it was the summertime, which I almost found harder because everyone's like out all the time in the summer, and like you feel like you should be happy because it's sunny out and stuff.
Yeah.
But I would just like hide in my room, and like that went on for like 4 months, that like I just couldn't even leave my house. I didn't see any of my friends. And like looking back on it, it doesn't even seem real because like I can't, like you can't even imagine that feeling. Like I can't even imagine it now.
Yeah.
But I just know that like I would like stare at the wall for like 8 hours and just like sit there, and my mom would be like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, nothing. Like I'd like sit in the bath for like 5 hours, and like it's just like the days drag on so much, and like as soon as you wake up you just want to go back to bed because I just felt like I had nothing at that point, like nothing to look forward to and stuff.
I haven't experienced mental illness on this level, but the closest that in my experience that I've ever been to was just grieving after she died. And I would say like, yeah, for a long time it was just felt like I didn't have anything to look forward to, and yeah, the same kind of feelings you just described, for sure. Yeah, I often think about her, and I think about anyone who's killed themselves. Even though I was solo after, with all the grief and all the pain and shit, I still wasn't close to the point of killing myself, I don't think. And it's like, yeah, they were, because they went there, so it's like, yeah, it's a deep level of pain that's hard to comprehend.
Yeah.
For anyone, I think, unless you've been there. Yeah.
And it almost trips me out how I can't even imagine being that sad right now because I've been doing well, but it's like it almost seems like, I don't know, kind of like dissociated the whole time. Like you're out of it and like you don't really feel like, you almost feel like you're in a dream. Like I used to get that a lot as a kid, and I'd like tell my dad, I'd be like, Dad, I'm dreaming, and he'd be like, I know what you're feeling, like I used to feel it too, but like you're not, you're gonna be okay. But it's such a weird feeling, like out of body, and you feel like you're looking down on yourself. And I think that's kind of what it was too.
Yeah. Would you say it's almost like a cloud that comes over and it's almost like separate from you?
Yeah.
In a way?
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that analogy before. It does seem accurate.
So you say for like 4 months after you got out, it was like a really hard time. And does it start to look up after that kind of thing?
I went back to school that fall because that was the summer of 2016. And yeah, I went back to school in the fall, and like all my doctors and my parents were like, you can't go back to school, you won't be back in school for like 3 years. But I just felt like I had to go back because I needed something to work towards. So I went back to Newfoundland in the fall after that, and I ended up dropping like 3 of my classes or something, but I stayed in school and I finished some classes, and I think if I wouldn't have done that, it would have stayed bad for a while. But I also felt like I had to get off PEI because like that was like the root of a lot of pain for me, and like Carolyn had just killed herself, and it just wasn't like a happy place to be for me anymore. Yeah. So I found getting away from that and almost kind of like separating myself from that for a while helped. But Yeah, I stayed in school for like 2 years after that. Took a year off last year, but like that was just kind of because I don't really know what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
not because of anything mental health related.
Mm-hmm.
And had another rough spell this summer, just with the depression. I'm bipolar 1, so like that's like you have like one manic episode, like one or two really severe episodes in your life, but usually just one, because like once they get you medicated they can kind of control it. But bipolar 2, you go up and down a lot more. So I'm 1, so I've only ever been manic once, but it's mostly the depression that I deal with. But this summer I just knew that I had to go back in there, because I knew I was at the point where like I couldn't like create a routine, like a healthy routine for myself, by myself. So I made the decision to go back in there. I just went to the hospital and said like I need to go to Unit 9, like I'm suicidal and whatever. So I was in there for 3 weeks and got out, kept working, and it's been pretty good since then.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Was there anything, so you said like structure helps you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Probably in your experience, other people you talk to, structure helps too.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would say that helped you along the way too?
A lot of my friends, obviously, like my family and my friends, like my parents were really, really supportive, and I think that I take that for granted because they just always have been. But
Mm-hmm.
like some of my friends I know, like this girl I know tried to kill herself and got taken to the hospital and called her parents, and her parents wouldn't come to the hospital and told her to take a cab home, and like that just would never happen to me because my parents would always be there no matter what. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I take that for granted just because I've always had it, but that was definitely like a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister is like she's almost a clinical psychologist. She's getting her PhD right now.
Oh wow.
So she's really, really good to talk to because she's like trained in that shit. So
Yeah.
she's a huge help for me. All my friends too, but I find more so of my friends that I haven't known so long. Like I met a lot of people through Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and my mental health page and everything.
Yeah.
And those people I find are the ones that I go to in the tough times, because not that my current friends like aren't great, but they just, a lot of them don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were talking about, it's such a like out of this world feeling that like if you haven't felt it, it's hard to relate
Mm-hmm.
and like sympathize.
Yeah. 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 Do you want to talk about your mental health page a little bit?
Yeah.
I wanted to. I'm glad you brought it up.
So I actually started it when I was manic because I thought like that I was a genius and I had like this higher like goal to like spread awareness about mental health. That was kind of like part of my delusions, which
Right.
isn't a bad delusion.
No, no.
But so I started it and I was posting
sorry.
like pictures of me in the hospital and all this stuff, because the reason I did it was because like in high school I was like played all these sports, got good grades, was like kind of like one of those preps
Mm-hmm.
that like seems like everything's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And like it happened to me, so I know it can happen to anyone,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it didn't really sink in until that happened to me, that like anyone can be going through this.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to kind of share my story and post things that people don't want to share, people feel uncomfortable sharing, like
Mm-hmm.
pictures of myself after I've had a panic attack or like
Mhm.
something like that, because Instagram's so fake
Mhm.
these days that like
Yeah.
it needs more real content.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I started it.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't been on it really in a while, but I mean, I still have it, and I still talk to people all the time. I've made a lot of friends through it, and just a lot of acquaintances and like good connections that I have people to talk to and stuff, and they can talk to me. Like, I've had people call me in the middle of the night because I had my phone number up there for a while and just be like, I don't want to tell you my name, but like, I need someone to talk to. And I've just been like, okay, and talk to random people for like hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's important because if someone's calling a random person, they obviously don't have anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And good for you for making that. And I follow you. It's called The Healthy Bean, right?
The Healing Bean.
The Healing Bean, sorry.
It's all good.
The Healthy Bean.
That's what I'm trying to be.
yeah. The Healing Bean, yeah. There was a lot of quotes on there that I thought were really inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing them. And your pictures too. And I'm 100% agree with you that there needs to be more... in social media in general, I just think there needs to be more like authenticity and realness. And I think that's all kind of like coming to light now, like how bad social media is for you.
Yeah.
And that's really cool of you to make that that account. And it's really cool that you made all those connections through it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool, like, you left your number and people could call you. That's awesome. So, and sometimes I think too, like you said, they might be, even if they have somebody, like, I think when you're in a rough spot, sometimes you're scared to reach out to people, even if you know you could.
Yeah.
Like, you're scared to tell your friends how you really feel, or you're scared to tell your family, or, your parents, whatever. But you see a person like, oh, they've been through this, so, you just talk to them, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's really like opened my eyes to how many people, like, a lot of people that I know have been like, please don't tell anyone this, but I suffer from this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
People that like you'd never would guess.
Yeah.
And I've had so many people message me that.
Yeah.
Like some sort of message like that, being like, this is what my story is. And I've had a lot of people tell me their stories,
mm-hmm.
which is really cool because I like hearing other people's stories because it makes you feel better about
mm-hmm.
like what happened to you and whatever.
Yeah.
Just like having someone to relate to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like, yeah, that's really cool. I think being like sharing your whole story, and that's like the inspiration for this was like, we can say like end the stigma and like just talk about it more, but like it's really hard for people to understand unless they get the whole story or like the real story,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard for, like we were saying, it's hard for people to come out and just tell them the real story when you don't have that connection prior. What would your advice be for someone that is struggling with this? Any mental health problem?
I think it's really, really hard, but just to get out of the house, even if you just walk to your mailbox to get your mail, like getting out of the house is so important. I remember like my mom trying to drag me out of the house that summer and me being like literally like hugging the couch being like, I'm not leaving, like,
mm-hmm.
but I would feel better once I got up. And I guess just that it does get better, which is the biggest cliche ever, but
mm-hmm.
like it really will. You just have to stick it out, and you just have to remember that it's just a feeling and it's just a phase. It's not your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good advice. If you looked into like, you said routine's really important. These like this, so does like the diet usually help, and like the going for walks, so like exercise usually help too. Yeah.
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 Big things doctors always tell you.
Diet and exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to someone if I guess they're too scared to get help. Or they're just very nervous about telling anyone about their problem, or yeah.
I guess to talk to someone that, like, not like me, but just talk to someone that's like not in your life but understands it, like someone you can freely talk to. There's lots of like hotlines and stuff like that too that you can call, that they won't just like send you to a hospital, but they're just people to talk to, because I find it's hard to reach out to like the people around you sometimes.
Yeah.
So to try to step outside of that circle and find someone is important.
Yeah.
Because once you tell it to them, you understand that like it made you feel better. You get a big sigh of relief after you kind of like tell something like that. So it almost like inspires you to tell more people, because it's just more of that relief. Because a lot of it, I think, is because it's such a secret that you feel so horrible about it, because you're carrying that weight on your own.
Yeah.
And once like you spread that weight among other people's shoulders, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, even the suicide text line.
Yeah.
That's a good one too. I actually used that one before. Just around Christmas, I was having a hard time. Just getting things off my chest, you know? Just because it is hard to like, you know, you feel like you don't want to bother anyone sometimes, or like whatever, you know? But yeah, it really is good to get it off your chest. So are you still in therapy regularly?
I took a break from seeing my psychologist because he was in Summerside, and I've been doing pretty well. I still see a psychiatrist, which is the one that deals with the meds. So like, I always have to see one of those because like I need to keep my meds in order and stuff. But they do kind of do therapy too, but more so like if I was looking for more therapy, I'd go back to a psychologist, because that's like all they focus on.
Okay, right, yeah.
But it's also, there's just not a lot of selection in PEI is the thing. Like there's not a lot of, like if you want to talk to someone, there's like a huge wait usually. So I'm hoping once I get to Halifax, I'll like find a new doctor there and stuff. But yeah,
that's good. I'm not sure. Is there anything else you would like to say just about your experiences?
I don't think so.
Okay. I think that's it. Like, thanks for coming out and doing this, and I'm gonna try to do this as much as I can with people, and just to get the story out there. So thanks a lot for coming out. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.